Oh, thanks. How you doing? Yeah, a little departure from the hole for a minute. What are we up to? Okay, so there's a couple of things I would like to investigate with a charcoal retort. Yeah. So firstly, I'd like small quantities of charcoal to add to my compost. I my son, but I am getting ever so slightly green fingered in my old age. And the other thing was the sort of coincides with it, and I've got a increasing amount of just old wire lying around and stuff like that. And I'm not going to sit around and strip it all. I'd like to use it in my foundry, melt it down and whatnot for various reasons, and can't do that with the insulation on. So a lot of people just throw it in a fire and burn everything off. You do lose quite a bit of wire when you do that, especially if it's fine wire, like extension cord wire, because there's not much of it anyway, and it's ever such fine stuff, and it'll get burnt up. Copper oxidizes quite readily when it's at high temperature, so that's not good. It's quite difficult to control temperature. Obviously, the plastic melts off, so we're going to try and put the wire with its insulation through what's essentially a charcoal retort, and see if we can't cook the plastic off that way. For those of you that don't know, the charcoal retort is a semi-sophisticated way of making charcoal. You end up with this is coincidentally going to become our charcoal retort. You fill your chamber with wood and tap it off at the top. It needs to be fairly well sealed so oxygen doesn't get in and combust the wood. But if you keep that at a high enough temperature for a period of time, the destructive something like that. You cook all the gases and stuff out of the wood, which you can then put back underneath your chamber to further heat the chamber, to complete the carburization or whatever it's called now. Carburization, gasification, I don't know. It's a process that's been around a while, but you can also, as you know, the chap who gave me this fire extinguisher, along with many other fire extinguishers, thank you mate, Mr. Argumentum, he was investigating pyrolysis of plastics in order to capture what's cooked off and use it as a fuel in his foundry, which is a pretty cool idea. Not the road I'm going to go down. I want to get what's inside the plastic and use the plastic to cook itself. Sort of the same thing, and where this idea came from, as far as cooking the plastic off insulation is concerned. There are a couple of other people that have tried it on YouTube, or one other person specifically that's done it with wire insulation, but I don't think they got it all sealed up, and he was trying a really large container and didn't get it hot enough, so it didn't really work too well. But I think this is a realistic sized chamber. We can heat up quite high with just a few bits of wood, then it should self-heat. What have I missed out here? Pretty sure that's it. Let's turn this into our retort chamber, and then we're going to build a housing around it to keep the heat in, and save on the inputs that I have to make as far as fuel is concerned, and help get us up to a good high temperature. Both things occur around the same sort of temperature. I think for plastics and stuff, you're looking at a pretty good cook-off at around 400 degrees C, which is easily reached, and sort of the same with wood. For complete charcoaliness, you need to be up in the 300s anyway. Yeah, alright. Going to cut this off, and I do have from another project the bottom end of another fire extinguisher. I found when I was making my wood-fired oven stove that one of these crammed into the opening where you cut the end off. seals it up remarkably well, and there's no point fucking around trying to make a flange or anything like that, because I think this will be a better fit. You know, tighten it down and it will naturally form a pretty decent seal. Yeah. And then we'll hack up the gas bottle, use that as a sort of top to our housing, and put some sheet seal sides and insulate the whole thing with roundable refractory from Dangerous Dave. Right? Right.
But they just haven't had time to arrive yet. And a short-term
that'll
solution
work.
Found in the air.
So, hopefully you can see here a classic example of the patented turbo recycled pressure vessel, gas tight, reverse bottom lid. Yeah. Oh, we've got to back her off first. She's still hot from the well, man. Yeah. And it just comes out as easily as that. I don't know which bits are hot at the minute. As easily as that. As easily as. No, she's a bit tight because she's new. Yeah, it'll loosen up with time. We've still got the remnants of these steel. So these water extinguishers made of steel have a heavy plastic coating on the inside. There's a fantastic reaction to being welded, and then to get it back together, the same in reverse. I think this is probably better than a bad attempt at a flange. You know, unless you go very heavy with a flange, it's just going to distort this. You know, in theory, even if things get a bit wavy, I'll just have to tap this around a bit more. If it looks like it's gassing out of here, I can just tap this with a hammer whilst it's under heat, and it should tighten up lovely. You know. Like something like that, you know. A little tap there, a little tap there. Should be golden. Ah, it is still hot. Right, we need a tube coming out of here. Because this is just a small retort. I'm going to put my tube in the middle, just make it nice and simple, coming out the belly, and then going to either end. With a load of holes drilled in it so that all the gases can escape and heat up this vessel. You see on larger retorts, they always do the piping externally. I think the biggest reason for that is so you don't damage it when you're ramming big bits of wood in there, which you wouldn't want to do. You could quite easily crimp that pipe and turn the whole thing into a bomb, couldn't you? But we haven't got that sort of danger here, so if I'm just sticking dried grass or bits of wire in there, I'm not going to bend the pipe. Maybe it'll be a bit annoying because I'll get stuff wrapped around it, so I'll make it easy to remove. Yeah. Okay, so we've got our gas pipe. This is obviously the bottom, and the pipe goes all the way through to the top, so hopefully there's not going to be any debris falling down here. And then we've got a few little holes at the bottom. Simple as that. And if it's removable, I can take the burner tubes off to hopefully poke them out with something. They get blocked up with carnivorous blockages. I've got a load of stainless steel pipe and coils because it's a fraction of the cost of getting it in straight length. Any suggestions on getting it nice and straight would be greatly received. What next? Yeah, this is done now. We just need to make a sort of outer stove, the housing for it all. Okay then, I've made this housing which will become the kiln, I suppose. This is all 3mm sheet off an old oil tank, and made some zigzag wire out of fence wire, welded that to the inside to give the refractory lining something to key onto. Yeah, let me show you the chamber going in. Not a huge amount of space around it, but it doesn't have to be, I don't think. I've got to get the refractory on nice and bloody thin. That's the key here, isn't it? Make a little door to go over the top half. The bottom half can be open for a good amount of airflow. Yeah. Yeah. This is going to get a little lid on it, but I didn't fancy my chances getting a refractory in nicely, and with the lid on it's going to be much easier doing it this way. Yeah. Glad you understand. Okay. Right, I've got 3 sides of this thing lined with the rammable refractory. I've shown it to you before when I was building my foundry. What Dangerous Dave gets me, incredibly high temperature stuff, and it's bloody tough once it goes off. It's a little bit tricky to use, you know. And I'm just switching the camera on now because this is the bit that's going to go wrong if it does go wrong. Bloody heavy at the minute as well. It does lose a lot of its weight once it dries out. Obviously a lot of its weight is just water. I'm not entirely sure, but I'm putting an educated guess into its makeup being mostly bentonite clay with I don't know. It's got to be something like perlite in here. There's white mineral. It does insulate quite well, and it's, you know, once it's fired, bing, you know, it's got a ceramic ring to it. I don't know. Either way, you've got to beat it till it goes relatively smooth. That's how you sort of know that it's consolidated nicely. This bit underneath the bar I'm struggling with. So you do need enough room to swing a cat to make it nice. This isn't getting anywhere near as hot as the foundry, so it's not quite so critical. But you know, putting this effort in, it'd be nice if it lasted a little while, wouldn't it? As with anything, my lighting's going to be wrong for this next side. Oh. Oh. These packs are 25 kilos each, and I've used one pack already. Okay, so this is the first side. I need to have this flat on the bench so that I'm hammering against something. But that obviously creates a bit of an overhead, doesn't it? I really don't know what it would be like trying to do this inside a boiler. That's what this stuff's for, isn't it? Lining boilers. Or lining fireboxes, I suppose. There we go. fucking trains. Right. So yeah, this is the lid. I've already welded my wiggly bits of metal to it. There you go. Obviously it's got to follow that bend round. So yeah, that's the end where the chimney goes. I'm just gonna sit on here and tack this end in place. Easy now, easy. Easy. Now let's get a quick little weld on there before I fuck everything up. Okay, so there she is. Hello, chimney. I got the curve a bit messed up on this, a bit wonky, which meant the ridge of the curve is offset, which meant I got the whole fucking chimney offset, which pisses me off a little bit. It really doesn't matter. And woo, there we go. The top of it's done. I've got some knobbly bits on the side. Doesn't matter. Don't care if they fall off. Every time I try and smooth them out, I'll make a dent somewhere else though. Alright, I've got to try and lift this thing outside now. There's a fair bit of weight here now. I guess there's 2 and a bit packs of this rammable refractory stuff, plus the steel, so we're getting on for 70 kilos anyway. I'll turn the camera off while I put my back out here. Okay, so I fired it with the, let me get out of the light. Oh, that's better, it's marginally better. Fired it with the chamber in there. It's got rid of all the plastic in the fire extinguisher, so I'm going to pull that out now and just charge it right full of wood so it burns down overnight, and that's going to get this lining fired as much as I'm gonna get it, I think, with wood. Okay, so I made a little door for the front here with a little latch on the door. Very nice, very basic. Obviously the idea is to keep the chamber closed in at the top, but a nice big air hole at the bottom, and I can feed it from the bottom as well, can't I? I don't think it's going to need much feeding though. It's very small, isn't it? So probably the wood that's starting it and a little bit more. And that can all come from pallets and waste wood, can't it? Hey? And what else we've got to talk about? The black abyss inside. Let me get a torch in here. Ooh. There we go. So this stuff, I don't know if it's 100% fired. It's certainly on the way to being pretty much fired. I've got a fire going in here, burnt the chamber, and then pulled the chamber out and just stuffed it full of wood and left it overnight. And it certainly dropped a lot of weight. Some deficiencies in my work with the material. Yeah, don't know what's gone off here, but it's solid. It's nice and solid. It does appear to have cracked a little bit. Hopefully they're just surface cracks. Let's give it a go. Yep, so the cook-off got the inside of the chamber nice and clean. There's obviously a thick layer of plastic in that before. First thing I put in here is reeds. Not really reeds, just long grass. I think some of them we can call reeds, whatever. Alright, and this will be for the charcoal to go into the compost heap, because I want nice fine charcoal. A lot of people make you know, sort of lump wood or out of twigs, and they still got to crush it afterwards, but whatever charcoal this makes, it's not going to make very much, but I don't need very much. And when it comes out here, it will most probably either be dust or you know, it'll break up on its own anyway, won't it? So I figure this is the best thing to use. And I've got no other use for it. I haven't made a thatched cottage yet, so yeah, we don't need it for anything else. Okay, got the coaling chamber pretty much stuffed. It looks sparse at the top here, but it's tight down at the bottom. Yeah. Get the lid on and get this old girl cooking. It's damp. I read some interesting stuff about the cook-off, like depending on how damp what you're charring is. Not specifically about grass, but about, you know, wood, and what do you get? You get this stuff called wood vinegar, and you know, it's an acid, and you can use it as a weed killer, as it happens. You get a bit of hydrogen and mostly carbon monoxide and acetone and stuff like that, little bits of that, and tar. But when it's a high moisture content, it alters the ratios of what you get cooked off, which I thought was interesting. It doesn't really matter to us here, as long as it doesn't affect the charcoal yield, you know. But yeah, it's just going to mean I'm going to have to put an extra bit of wood in it to cook the moisture off before anything happens, I suppose. I don't know. Started gassing off. Well, the combustible gases are coming off. Pretty cool. If I move the lump of wood right next to it, it goes out. I suppose it's combusting further up, but yeah, that's a sign that the things we want to happen are happening. Pretty cool. The jet of flame that's sort of hitting the bottom of the fire extinguisher and going sideways. Okay, there's just the tiniest little wisp of smoke coming out the gas tube. I'm going to pull it out and try and undo the lid without the whole thing bursting into flames. Wow. Oh, bit stinky. Oh. Yeah. There's always going to be a danger of opening that thing up whilst it was hot still. I could have left it, but the light's fading and I was bloody curious. Okay. Amazing. It's worked perfectly. Worked perfectly. Look at that. Alright. It's going to be lovely. Alright, well, that's it. It certainly works as a charcoal retort. What was the other thing we were going to do with it? stuff it full of electrical wire. You're going to have to join me again next time, because my weekend's officially over in a couple of hours, and that's another fun job. If we leave it for another video, then we can melt what we got down into ingots. It's definitely going to work with copper wire, isn't it? It's just a matter of how clean the wire is afterwards. That's the question we've got to answer. Hey, all right, okay. Until next time, folks. Cheerio.